Welcome to SoulWhat, a Soultopia production. Every Tuesday, Michelle and Roger Welch take a deep dive into the intriguing and proactive world of metaphysics, a world beyond our human perception. They'll talk to empaths, readers, and other guests from all walks of life to find out what's hiding under the surface, uncover the mysteries of our modern world, and reveal the answers you need to live a happy, healthier life. Now, here's your hosts, Michelle and Roger Welch.
Hello, everyone, and how are you doing on this beautiful, in Dallas anyway, Tuesday?
It was warm but windy today.
But windy?
But windy.
I don't know what that is.
Well, I was telling Matt I got home a little bit and I thought, you know what? I got a few minutes. I'm gonna go fly my drone, take some video. I took some really cool video of the golf course and the lakes, and then I got a warning on my drone that says too windy, go home. It literally popped up and said, "Go return home, land immediately."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how windy was it?
I don't know. I never
you
did
check?
hear. I didn't check to see.
Yeah.
I know it was pretty gusty though, because even I was showing Matt the video real quick, and you can see the trees doing this.
Why do you keep pointing about there? Did you show it to him on
Yeah,
there?
on that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
It
Yeah.
doesn't take much to blow those little drones around, though.
They're not
Yeah. They're not,
sturdy, really.
well, they're not heavy, but they're.
I guess they can't be heavy. Or they,
No.
is that the point? They need
Right,
to be
yeah.
light?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we flew it in the house the other day.
Yeah.
And
It's
then
easier to
knocked it
fly
into the wall.
outside than inside.
Yeah, it's better. I mean, you can get little things on it to protect it inside, but
I mean, we've got that high ceiling though.
Yeah.
Remember, pretty
Yeah.
high, but it was we were doing pretty well, and then bonk.
I also had it on the sport mode instead of the slow mode, and
that's probably not the inside. Yeah.
I hit the wall.
Yeah.
But we found a good use for it, and I think I said it before, but like he flew it over the house, so he's in the kind of the cul-de-sac. You flew it over the house to the golf course, but it showed the part of our roof where
Yep.
it is
Where we had the
damaged.
damage, and
So
I
you
did
can
a
show
little
that.
quick
That
repair.
sounds like don't think of all those things. I mean, now they
Oh
can,
yeah,
you can,
people use them in commercial uses that way all the time. Inspecting roofs
Yeah.
and things like that. So people are doing that.
Well, a
They're
friend
very
of mine,
handy. They're
Yeah, a
very
friend of
handy.
mine's kids played baseball. They were on a select team, and she's like, "Oh yeah, maybe I'll hire somebody." I was like, "Oh, I don't know how much he is, but maybe he'll come out there." I mean, I don't know.
Yep.
You know, she's like, "I might want him to come." I was talking about you, Matt, to come video.
about
I'm
Roger?
not sure Roger's ready. He might crash it into somebody trying to
Run it into
batter
them.
up.
Yeah.
Bonk. Hit with the drone.
And what's wrong with that?
No,
Could be
you know.
entertaining.
But anyway, you just never think of all the things.
Yeah.
Speaking of, we've been talking about every week about the balloons and things. Did they ever figure out? Did Biden ever come out with a statement, or did anybody ever figure out?
Not that I saw.
Kind
I
of
know.
fizzled. The story
think
went
they-
away.
I haven't heard.
That's
yeah,
because the
it's-
trains crashed,
yeah.
and all the chemicals leaked out. So that happened. They cleaned it up, and it sort of cleaned it up.
that happened. There was
And it
some
moved
big
on.
plant explosion in Ohio as
Yeah.
well. Like all sorts of wild
Trucks.
stuff going on.
There's like 2 trucks of chemicals crash.
Did you see that meteor that hit in South Texas?
Where?
Yeah,
Missed
it
that
was.
one.
I need to look up exactly where, but it was like a half-ton meteor that hit. There was I saw looked like a Ring doorbell camera, and you could hear the impact. It wasn't on camera, but you could
Yeah.
hear it and saw the birds like fly away and stuff like that. So.
Yeah.
Oh, we should
Pretty
go
interesting.
get all the
I'll look up
tech
about it
stuff or
here.
Yeah.
whatever comes. What would come from that? What would it-
Meteorites.
Duh.
Meteorites.
Not tech.
Meteorites.
Not my thing. Okay, so tonight we started last week. It was a good show, I think. Matt and Roger did a great show talking about some of their favorite. I guess were those all cryptids that y'all talked about?
Not everything. Most of them.
Mine were. Well, I don't know. I mean, the beast in France is not. I don't know if it's considered a cryptid or not. It's just
Yeah.
a series of attacks that
Yeah.
were not fully explained.
And the gasser, mad gasser is not. That's not a cryptid.
Okay, but they're monsters
That
of
was
some sort. Considered
Monsters, yeah.
monsters.
Yeah.
So
Mad
we're doing the
scientists.
mayhem. We didn't get to the mayhem, so
Yeah,
that was
the
part of.
mad gasser mayhem. Created
Well, we're doing mayhem tonight. We're doing the Poltergeist part, and so it's interesting because I always thought of Poltergeist as that movie, right? The Poltergeist movie. You've seen it, right?
Nope, too scared.
I think
of it.
there's like 3 of them, maybe at least 2.
There's 2 Poltergeist movies or one.
There's at least a couple. I
There's a
think.
couple,
Yeah.
and there's the actor Craig T. James, I believe is his
I
name.
thought it was Drew Barrymore.
Are you being? I never know if you're being serious or not.
It is Drew Barrymore.
Drew Barrymore was in Poltergeist.
She's a little girl, right?
She's the little girl in E.T.
That's
Who's the little
E.T., Roger. No, it's some random. I don't know.
Oh my God!
I don't know.
Now I'm
I
about to
don't
look
know
it
for
up.
sure. Yeah.
Poltergeist movie.
Okay, well, oh my gosh, I've told him
It's
I
been
have
so long
trouble
since I've
with
seen that-
ADHD,
It's
and
been so long
it takes
since I've
so
seen it.
much, y'all, for me to
There's
focus.
3 of them.
Oh Jesus,
3 of them.
seriously.
Oh, it was Heather O'Rourke. Never
I
mind.
said 3. I said 3. I did
That
not
was a
say
little
Drew
girl.
Barrymore,
Yeah.
so that is like you're batting.
All right, I did get that right. It was a little girl in there that went through the TV screen.
Yeah.
It was Heather O'Rourke.
She said they're here.
They're here.
Yeah.
Or
They're here.
E.T. phone home. Oh no, that was Drew Barrymore and E.T.
That's right.
Okay, so
I got little blonde girl. How about that?
Yeah, it's close.
well,
I
I have the
could see
picture
why.
of her right here. She's reaching up to. This is her, but I can see her right here. But so we're talking about Now I can't even talk. Poltergeist, and poltergeists are noisy ghosts. Okay, that's the name of it. It's a German name. It sounds like it, right? Poltergeist. A lot of my family's from Germany, and I have to say, I do not think German's a very pretty language. It's one of the romantic 13 romance languages, but I
It
don't
is?
find it very pretty. Yes, it is, actually. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure you will. Drew
Let's look
Barrymore.
that up.
So, but I do talk in my book, Spirits Unveiled, about different spirit beings, and I do have a chapter on ghosts, and I talk about like if it's a residual imprint, like something where you're just seeing something like a lot of it would be from wars, like the old Civil War, let's say, and where you see from whatever side, but you see some soldier, and it's like they're on a loop, and they're just doing the same thing over and over again, and they don't even notice you're there. So they walk by, and maybe they turn and look, and then they turn back, and then they just keep walking, and then they do it over and over and over again. So it's like it's on a loop. It's an imprint of sorts. So that's not going to be, it's not going to interact with you. It's not going to do much. It's some sort of imprint. So there's that. And then there's like visiting spirits that might be a loved one or some sort of being. I would count any kind of being in that, that might come, because for me, it doesn't have to just be a human being. It could be an animal spirit. It could be a visiting spirit that could come and see you. Animals are very much will come and visit you. I have a lot of stories in my books about cat. Well, not a lot, but I have several stories about cats in particular, because that's just who I talk to about the cats jumping on the bed, and it's like a spirit cat that'll jump on the bed. So there, and then there's ghost. But so I just always thought poltergeist because of that movie. I just thought it was always something that was associated with the land, because that's what happened in that movie Poltergeist, is it was associated with a Native American land, right? It's that they had built the house on graves.
Right.
Yeah. And so they weren't honoring the land. They had stirred up the dead, and it was land that had been, taken from. It was just not good all around. And so, but what really is going on with poltergeists is, since they're noisy ghosts, let's talk about first maybe how you know that they're around. Like, what's the difference between just like a ghost that might be around that you see floating down a hall, which we do at our doctor's office, right?
Yep.
There's 2 of
Strolling down
them,
the
and a
hallway.
doctor actually saw one of them.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's a doctor at our where we both go. We go to different doctors, and I saw one, and I told them about the ghost that they had. It's not an imprint. The ghost is aware of you, right? It is aware. Now there's 2, which was interesting to me. And I went
Causing them to multiply?
I think maybe Roger is, but who knows? But or maybe they're not very good doctors. I don't know.
That's probably what it
Maybe
is.
we need to find out. But my doctor told me, and she knows all about my stuff. So she knows the crazy that resides in what we call Michelle Welch. So no, I mean there's some crazy, but it's real. But to the other people, it'd be crazy. And so I told her, "You've got ghosts down that hall."
Wait, so had they had stuff happening? Like, did they have did they believe you when you said that?
She did because I've helped her with some stuff before. I've told her things that were so she
believed you
believes me.
because you said it, not because something had happened and they were like, "Oh,
At
yeah,
that
that makes
point,
sense."
correct.
Yeah, okay.
And then there was another. Next time I went to her, she told me, "By the way, Dr. So-and-so," I don't think she told me the name, but another one of our doctors in the practice, it's a large practice, saw your ghost. And I said, "Well, where?" Because there's a bunch of halls, and you can get a little turned around. Because I can tell you which exact hall it is. And she said, "Well, come here, and I'll show you." And we walked, and she said, "Right here." And I said, "That's right." And she said,
where
"Do
you
you
saw
see
it?
it?" And I said, "Do you see it?" And I said, "No." And then I saw it that time when I was leaving. Now this time, she's like, and it was the PA, and she said, "Do you see the ghost?" And I was like, "No, there's two now. I can sense them, but they're hiding. They run now when I'm there, I think, but they're not there." Did you see it?
Not the last time, the time before, and it's that second hall going back, and it was literally coming because when you walk down that side, they have like the nurses station and stuff,
Yeah.
and it was literally saw me coming towards it, and it was started moving down the hallway away from
It's exactly what it does, and it'll turn the corner.
Yeah.
But I think it goes down and turns and goes back up that other hall and does that kind of or like a rectangle kind of thing. But
Well, so I'm curious about this now
Yeah.
because, like, despite being interested in this stuff all my life and putting myself in situations where there have been stories of ghosts, I've
Right.
never actually seen one or
Right.
interacted with one or had anything. I've had weird stuff happen,
but you've never.
but I've never seen something happen right in front of my eyes and be like, okay, that thing moved, or
Right.
I see a spirit. So what are you seeing? Are you seeing energy? Are you seeing a form? Are you seeing something that looks exactly like a human? Like what are
Okay.
you?
So with this particular spirit being is what I'll call it, it did not look exactly like a human. It looked a little bit. Is the word transparent or translucent? Translucent.
It's kind of shadowy.
Well, I was going to get you described later, but
sorry.
that's to see what you said because we haven't talked about it. I could tell that it was a form. To me, they are both males. I could tell that, and
So there's enough
I've
of
only
enough of a shape for you to say like this looks like.
It doesn't look like a
I don't know why I
sheet.
did this, but
yeah. No, well, it's not like what you think of as your
Or are you just feeling that
Casper
it's a
the
man?
Friendly Ghost. It just I didn't just feel it. I actually saw. Now a lot of times I'll just sense or sense something and feel. You don't always see them. I'm not going to tell you I always see everything that's around me. That's not, and I don't want to. But I saw these. And actually, the one at first, just one, and it seemed so. It's not full bodied, but it's not fully mist. Remember, you showed us that picture last week of the
liquid
white, the one
monster.
that was white.
Yeah.
It kind of, and a lot of it looked kind of more
Cloudy.
form
Yeah,
around
yeah.
the chest and stomach area, but a lot towards the head looked more like misty, smoky,
Yeah.
wispy. It's not that. It's more fully, but
Defined.
defined, but yet transparent, translucent, whatever the word would be. I'm not sure about those words. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's never seems to be like coming towards me. It always seems to be, it does the loop, but it always seems to be going away from me. I'll tell you another one I saw. This one really bothered me, and Roger can vouch. You know which one I'm going to tell? When we were visiting.
Jefferson.
Well, Jefferson has a whole bunch, but that's not the one. We can tell that one, but the one in San Francisco.
Oh yeah, when we were down by the Walgreens in the
So we were. What's that area called?
Twin Peaks.
No.
It is. It's just up from that area.
So I
called
thought
Twin
it started
Peaks.
with a C. So we were in the area.
The Castro.
The Castro. So we were in the area, and the minute we got in that area, and Tyler didn't really tell me much, but of course he knows a lot, and is very respectful. Tyler and James took us down. We were there for Pride, and they took us to the area, and we were, going into the cute shops and fun shops, vintage shops, all kinds of stuff. We were having a blast. And all of a sudden, why'd we go into? Was it cold? Why'd we go into the Walgreens? I don't know. But I was tired. So I said, I'm going to wait
coke.
for you in here. I walked into a Walgreens that was right there in the corner. It was right in the middle of that area, the Castro. And there was an aisle that was for like cold and flu things. You know, the cold and flu aisle. And the minute I got in the aisle, there was an and I'm talking almost full-bodied, and had an IV pole, and literally had on like pajamas that it's one of the saddest things I've ever seen. And it was a male, and was walking up and down that aisle like looking for some medicine to take. And it clearly, and I'm sorry, you guys, this is a very sad story, but clearly this being, this human, had passed of AIDS. And Tyler went on to tell me a story of where they had opened the Core Power Yoga, was a place where you would go at the time, and he had always felt the energy because he worked there. What was it? You'd go and get, they used it as a place to go and get clothes and things, you know, to get help when you, during the height of the AIDS epidemic. And so, but I was in that Walgreens, I come out, and what happened? I can't even remember. I was so upset. Didn't I say we've got to go?
Yeah, you were ready to go.
I was crying.
Yep.
I mean, I was being dramatic. I mean, and I'm usually not. And I was just like, we've got to go. And Tyler was like, what's going on? And then he got a little upset. And I said, and Tyler said to me, Mom, it's no surprise, this area. And he explained to me why. Yeah. But it was, Matt, it was much more as though it was, this person was fading away, but the person was much more a form of a person. Yeah. And it was just so sad. And that's all. I didn't think, oh my gosh, a ghost. I thought, I am so sad.
Right.
And so that's how you see them. I guess it's just different depending on, And so you didn't see that particular one,
not
did you?
that one. I did see a few things while we were there, but not that one.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of that energy and things.
It's really, really, really sad, because I think it felt to me at that time that there was just no one helping him at all. Yeah. You know? And I did try to communicate, even though it was so sad. And I don't think he was on that residual loop that I was talking about, but I felt like he was close to being on it, that he was just kept taking the same path, and that he really was to the point, he was not aware. But it felt more that was how he was at the time. It was just like, I'm just up and down looking for something to take to make me feel better. So sad.
Wow.
Yeah.
So these ones recently here at the doctor's office, not anywhere near formed like that. Colorful? Like, do you see colors, or is it?
I did see colors, but not really. I mean, it's not just pure mist-like. Mm-hmm. I'm looking, you guys, because those are the emergency people that practice. There's flashing lights outside our door. I'm sorry. But no, it's not. I didn't see vivid colors, but it's not just like a misty. But I wouldn't say, I can't tell you, they were wearing like a yellow jacket with, red shoes.
I've never seen that part.
It didn't feel like that at all to me. Not that full-bodied. Mm-hmm. But I and to me, a lot of times I get the emotion of it. So I will see something, and then all of a sudden I'm just caught up in the emotion of who it is I'm seeing or talking to or trying to communicate with. And I didn't know if you had more of a description.
No,
we've never compared notes on that.
Almost a form, but not really a form. And what I see is usually more of kind of a whitish, grayish color formation. But you never see.
But did it look
color.
like a human to you?
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
It was like almost trying to create a full form, but just not quite there.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is, when my doctor told me, she said, this other doctor, she said they said, and no, there had not been any happenings, nothing being messed up, disturbed. It wasn't a restless ghost. Okay, it's not. Yeah. Yet. It might turn into one. We'll talk about that. But it was just, and I was like, what was in this building before? And I think it might have been just built for this. So I don't know why.
It was. So it had to be the land?
I don't know. And so, but I will say this, that this doctor is a skeptic. This is not a doctor. She told me this. Not my doctor. The other doctor is a doctor that would not just be like, oh, there's a ghost and be silly and, and just immediately believe. The doctor would immediately not believe me. And she said she saw something. And she was up there, I think, after hours and saw something. And I didn't get the whole exactly what she saw. And it didn't surprise me because I saw it. And Roger saw it too. So, and we weren't there together. So it's no surprise, right?
Nope.
Yeah. So the thing with Poltergeist is that, a lot of us have our opinions or our knowledge formed by maybe what we've seen on TV.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, just that movie alone, so much happens. I don't know when the last time you've seen it is, but I watched it a few years ago again for the first time in quite a while.
Right.
And so much more happens in that movie than just what you would consider poltergeist activity. I mean,
Exactly.
There's all sorts of wild stuff going on in there. And so I think the definition of that has probably gotten a little muddy for most people in popular culture or just in the popular understanding. As well as, I feel like it's one of the more frightening hauntings that can happen, maybe because of their nature of being able to interact with stuff, which you said, the residual hauntings and things like that you might see on a battlefield or even in an old building or something may not do anything. It may be startling, but when something can actually move something or throw something at you, that becomes
scary.
a little bit more frightening.
It's real. And it's and so then you begin to think, okay, we hop immediately because of religious things. We hop immediately to, okay, is it possessed by a demon? And because of Catholic or Christian beliefs, or maybe some other ones, we immediately think, okay, we're going to do an exorcism. I was even watching the 28 Days the other day, and one of them starts doing an exorcism or reading the Bible. And I'm not saying don't do that. It's just that on the Poltergeist, I have a different theory, so we're going to get to it. And I'm not sure if my theory, I can't prove my theory. I have a theory, but I will read this. So the Poltergeist is, and this is from it's like liveabout.com, and I looked up a lot of different sites, just say, but basically the definition of poltergeist is the same. But how do you know the difference between like a poltergeist and just a ghost, what we've been talking about? Okay, so it's really the ability to, what you said, it's the energy and the ability to move things. And so they give a list on this, and I want to give it credit. Like I said, it's liveabout.com. And they say 7 signs, and I'm not going to take very long on these, of poltergeist activity. 1, things disappear, like disappearing objects. Now, I'll say that I know this, and I talk about it in my book, but fae or fairies or elementals will do that too. So in Scotland, Ireland, all those areas, they might attribute that to fairy elementals. But things will just mysteriously disappear, and it's called the disappearing object phenomenon. 2, objects or people can levitate. So in a lot of the cases where people will go in and investigate, and then they end up thinking it's maybe a hoax because the pictures, the girl's just throwing herself up in the air. What is the Enfield case and some other ones? Right. They think it's a hoax to get attention, but there is objects are levitated or something's thrown at you. Okay, so that's when it's like what you're talking about. It's getting more dangerous, and you're just sitting there, and then something flies off at you. There are scents and odors. And it's not just that sulfur. So if you're watching Supernatural and they always say ghosts smell like sulfur, or demons, that's not true. It's just a nasty smell. Electrical interference, that's a huge one. I think even kind of more passive ghosts do that. Like your loved ones might even try to flicker lights to try to get your attention. I don't think that's always a restless spirit. Power from nowhere. So this one says that antique clock on the fireplace, it's not worked in forever, all of a sudden will work. This one's big, number 6, knocks, rappings, footsteps, and other noises. Just random. Now that goes back to those, what were they, the Fox sisters from the Spiritualist, where they would do table and seances and they do the knocking and the noises like that. That's more that would have to do with mediumship and things like that. So that's where it kind of gets fuzzy and starts blending.
Like that.
We got one in the studio right now.
Yeah, we got it. And so physical attacks, scratching, biting. This is where it can get really scary. They're scratching you, they're biting you. And then that's when you start thinking, okay, is this a demon or something like that? So that's how you can kind of know.
So is this saying that for there to be what would be considered a poltergeist haunting, it has to have all of these things, most of these things,
It could have
one of these things?
It could have one of these things, but typically it escalates from what I've seen. No, not what I've seen, because I'll tell you what I've seen. The couple what I'd call poltergeist I've seen, because it was me. Okay, and then we had one when our store started opening, and one a little bit here, but I don't think it's a poltergeist. I just think it's one that wants attention here.
Right.
But I think they may start off as just like one thing, but I don't think they have to have all. So I'm not sure what they're saying on that, but I don't agree. I think these are signs you can look for, and it does not have to be the whole list. It can be either or, but at least something where it's noisy. It's disrupting.
Yeah.
As opposed to just going up and down the hall, and even if it realizes you're there, it's not.
So I have a question. Right?
Yes.
Okay. So y'all know the story of the snuffers down on Lower Greenville?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So think about this, because I was thinking as I was reading through it, and I started thinking, I don't know why, I started thinking about the one at Snuffers, because which they tore that down. So if you want to go to Snuffers down on Lower Greenville, it's not there anymore because they tore it down. And
Right.
it's something else. Now they've never had anything else there. There's 2 stories, and they also think there was actually 2 things going on there. One story was, it used to be a biker bar before it was Snuffers. It was a pool hall biker bar, and there was a fight, and a guy got stabbed. 2, they also said it was there was a children's cemetery that part of it was built on top of and covering up, which goes back to your kids thing.
And I think, if I remember correctly, that was one of the things that were seen there was a child or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was a child seen there as a spirit. But the other part of what you said was it can move things. And part of the things that they would always talk about at Snuffers was glasses getting pushed off the tables, off of the bar, off of the racks, and being broken. I forget what all else happened, but there was a ton of stuff that was always reported happening, plus being actual seen kids and things like that.
So
and it was usually nights when there was some strife between everybody too.
Yes. So the common denominator that in most of them is a child reaching the age of puberty. Okay?
A living child.
Living child reaching the age of puberty. Now, I don't know what that age is, okay? So for me, I don't get to graph it, but that was like later, maybe 13 or whatever. But some of the kids are like 11, 12, and most of them are females, but there are some cases of boys, teenage boys too. But the majority are female. So the theory is this. Is it that they're just trying to get attention? And which has happened in some of the cases. CPS in one of the cases, I'm not sure which one it was. Maybe we'll talk about it, and I'll see which one it was. But came in, and they were like Child Protective Services, and they thought the kids were just acting out because their mother wanted them to. Like they were doing this so that because their mother was prompting them to do certain things, and so a lot of them have been disregarded as hoaxes. But it tends to always happen around a certain age, and it's kids that are going through or about to go through puberty, right? So here's my theory. So it could be it's a hoax. It could be that something's drawn to them at that age for some reason, because energy. I mean, their energy shifting.
A lot of energy at that
lot.
age. A lot of, and if you also, Roger, like you just mentioned, there being strife or something.
Exactly.
That's when I feel like probably children are at their most rebellious, like acting out. Hormones are going crazy.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of fights going on.
Very angsty.
Yeah.
Just angst and not knowing how you feel. You don't know how to process, and especially if you have a lot of that kind of pent up psychic energy stuff going on in your life anyway, which kids do, because I did. And so then I would say something, and it's in my book, Spirits Unveiled. I'd say something, and then there'd be Bible study over at my house. And I might say, oh, look at that angel up there or whatever. And so then I get sent to my room. Mm-hmm. And so I get sent to my brother's room. And he'd be like, please don't send Michelle to my room. Because within a matter of minutes, there would be books on the floor. And I'm telling you guys, and you can believe me or not, I don't care. There would be books. We loved board games. And he had them very meticulously. He would actually make board games. He'd make baseball cards and games, and he's very good at it. And they would be just all over the floor. Now, I don't remember them flying around the room and all that kind of stuff, but it was just destroyed, the room. And enough so that he'd be like, please. And my room also doubled as the guest bedroom, and we had a lot of guests stay with us through the years. That my parents were very kind of like missionaries in that way. Church, we would take people in that came to the church, and they would stay in my room. And so my point being, I think that it is not necessarily children faking something. I think that it's not necessarily anything demonic attaching to them. I think everything's energy. We're all made up of energy. And I think that if we get angry or upset or sad, or there's strife in the home, or we don't know what to do with what we're feeling, then we can create. It's not so crazy to think that a child couldn't create a book falling off of a bookshelf. The other day, I was really upset in there, and I'm not a child, but I can act like one, right? And a card deck just plopped off. Do you remember when we first opened Soultopia and we were at the other place? What happened with?
We used to have pictures hanging on the wall and with glass, and they would fall off and float about 5 or 6 feet over and just right on the ground without breaking the glass, the frame, or anything.
We have witnesses to that. It was
basically
freaky.
Float across and just lay down on the ground.
Which store was this?
So that's when we were in that old Valley View Mall.
Yeah.
Yep. That mall had a lot of icky energy.
That
by
mall
the time.
that just burned down?
Yeah, the
one that
mall
burnt
that's just
down.
the final nice thing. I mean, I don't know if the whole thing, but the movie theater, which was halfway decent, burned down.
Even when we were there, they would have fires in the movie theater. I don't know what they were doing up there.
It was the popcorn machine.
Yeah, they would always burn the
you.
popcorn machine, so you could
So-
smell it all the way down.
So my theory is, when you start looking at some of the cases, a lot of people, Roger talks a lot about the Bell Witch case, and people would think, okay, that's not a poltergeist case. It is. It's got a lot of other things to it.
There's a teenage girl or a young girl in the middle of that
Betsy.
story. Of it. Yeah.
Yep.
So the witch, quote unquote witch, or the spirit, was Kate. They started calling her Kate for some reason, and she didn't like Betsy when Betsy came of age to start having suitors, like
Right.
young men come, and and they were young back then, and this was and so that she had the suitors come, whatever word, the young men who would come to court her, and so. And
Young
so
horn dogs.
one was named Joshua, and she was going to be engaged to him, and Kate did not like that at all. Kate also did not like John Bell. So that's how it got the name Bell, the Bell Witch, okay, because it was,
Which was the
on
father.
The father.
Yeah.
And so Kate would mock, and they really never knew if the spirit was male or female, but it was called Kate. And the spirit would mock the father and would assume names, and apparently could shapeshift. They would see, the first time John Bell saw the spirit. It was in a cornfield, and it looked like a dog or something, but it didn't really look like a dog. And then someone saw it looked like kind of like a turkey, but it was a bird, and it was way too big, and then it flew off. And then someone else saw, I think it was Betsy, saw a girl in green swinging from a tree, swinging, and then something happened with that. So they'd see really strange things. But then Kate got more and more really like a lot of sarcasm, but she'd also know things that would be no way she should know them, and she would use those to kind of mock people, and particularly picked on John Bell and Betsy. And Betsy being, again, a younger child, because back then they'd get engaged a lot younger, and she, to the point where Betsy ended up she broke off that engagement. Now, Roger, you want to talk, eventually, I think in the 20th century, they came up with like the Bell Witch Cave.
They found the cave, and they believed the spirit, the poltergeist, was in the cave. So it was because it was also close to the Bell Farm. It was found there with the Bell Farm area, right? And so that was kind of the folklore there, was that it was actually, that's where the poltergeist was located. And that's where the Bell Witch Cave came from.
Yeah.
But the reason that it was, thought of is because Betsy would have things happen to her. So again, there's a girl involved, and I'm seeing if I can find her, but she was pretty young. Betsy, see, the physical activity centered on the Bell's youngest daughter, Betsy, and the father, and Kate expressed particular displeasure when Betsy became engaged to a local named Joshua Gardner. And so, again, and then they had these apparitions. And so apparently they thought that was, when they saw the dog, the bird, and all these different things, they thought that was Kate shape-shifting. That was actually the spirit. And so there's more than just it being a poltergeist. There's like the shape-shifting.
Yeah, those are things that are not typically associated with poltergeist activity.
The whole, right. So the whole story is not a poltergeist story, but if you look at where all the young girls, and there are, like I said, a couple where there were young boys involved, it's interesting how they zero in on those children. And then they're the ones who are getting scratched and getting bitten and getting hurt physically, a lot of times are the young children. Yeah. So, and you have to wonder what's going on with that. But this is one interesting thing, just a side note about how it really started to get serious on the Bell Witch thing. And I didn't know anything about this. Roger has this book, and because he's from Tennessee, right? Yep. And so, so all of a sudden the father got paralysis in his mouth. But when they describe it, and there's a book, you guys, and it's called The Red Book. And the Red Book is the book from a family member who wrote, and it's called, I just want y'all to know, an authenticated, it went off and it's long. And I just got engrossed in it.
An authenticated history of the famous Bell Witch.
Bell Witch, Ingram M. And that's when, they go back and they give quotes. This is old. When was it written, Roger?
1961. That's reprints.
Oh.
Take it back.
No, it was way
1890.
before.
Sorry.
Yeah.
1890.
Right. That was like the first, I think, written
account
of or collection of everything that happened.
And they go into the different opinions, the opinions of even John Wesley, who started the Methodist Church, who, by the way, very much believed in the supernatural, very much believed. I was shocked some of the things that I read in here. Very much believed in, but at that time, people believed in witchcraft. It wasn't like, oh, that's just made up. They believed in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't just like, oh, this isn't, they totally believed in it. But I can't remember what I was going to say about, I will say this. Mr. Wesley, however, I highlighted this, was bold in speaking his sentiments and rather boasted of his belief in witchcraft. That is the founder of the Methodist Church, John Wesley. So I loved digging into this book. And again, it wasn't all about poltergeist, but they put it, when you do enter a search for poltergeist, the Bell Witch is something that comes out.
Well, so, and I think that brings up something that I've thought for a long time about this subject. And folks, if you're on Facebook or whatever and you want to chime in on this as well, you can comment on the SoulWhat Facebook page. We talked a little bit, I don't remember if it was last week or the week before, about whether or not Bigfoot was a flesh and blood creature or some sort of more metaphysical creature. And I said, well, I think that there's a lot of things that happen in the woods that are attributed to Bigfoot, but maybe other things that you might call spirits, things that, especially Native Americans would call spirits,
Right.
And not necessarily Bigfoot or Sasquatch or whatever. And so I'm starting to wonder, or I've always kind of thought, when it comes to poltergeist, is there any really one thing that is a poltergeist, or is it just a set of occurrences that are caused by other things that just get named this? They get named this thing, but really it's, like you said, it could be a fae. It could be a demon or something like that. It could be just a ghost, or like the Bell Witch. It could be something that's might be more akin to, some sort of spirit of some sort, not just poltergeist. But I feel like poltergeist has become a catch-all term, and there may not even be a thing that really is that.
I agree. That's what I think. And the one that I would add to that is the energy of a preteen.
Right, just manifesting energy.
Yeah, just the energy that's coming out, and the anger
energy.
that can all of a sudden make a book fall off or a frame fall off the wall because we can move things. I mean, everything's energy, but we just don't do it because we think that's crazy. And so, yeah, I think it's a catch-all term for a noisy, and I'd say noisy energy. It's disruptive energy, right? But then we've just thrown it into that category. But what we thought was, or at least I thought was, poltergeist is a type of ghost or demon that's coming through your TV, when the screen goes fuzzy. I mean, and the girl's got her hands up. And by the way, just as an aside, they had a lot of things happen on the sets of those. Craig T. James made a guy come in and do a clearing. Yeah. He was in the show, and he said, come to find out, the skeletons that they used as the skeletons in the Poltergeist movie, and I think it was the second one, maybe the first one too. Craig T. James says, I will not carry on. So they left the set. They made the guys who locked up the set leave it open that night. And a Native American that was in the movie, he came in and he did a clearing of the set. And Craig T. James said he felt better the next day. And he felt it was clearer and less things happened because they were using real skeletons on the set.
Yep.
And no one knew that. And when Craig T. James found that out, he was like, oh, hell no. You will be either getting rid of those or we will do it. And the guys, the Native Americans said, no, I can come in and take care of it.
A lot of wild stories about that movie set.
Yeah.
And I think some of the people who were in the movie, including the little girl, I believe, had a tragic life afterwards.
Lots of tragedy.
That followed that movie. And I don't know. I mean, that could be the case for any movie. I'm not really sure, but there are a lot of stories surrounding that movie.
Right.
Of people just falling under all sorts of terrible circumstances.
Is one of you aware of the Enfield case?
I know a little bit about it. So yeah, that was a case that happened in the late 70s in London. I think in the Enfield is the neighborhood, I believe, if I remember correctly. And it did center around a couple of young girls. I think one was maybe 10 or 11, another one was early teens. It was investigated quite a bit, including by the Warrens, which ended up being, if you've seen one of the Conjuring movies, I think the second one.
Right.
I think the second one kind of shows. I don't know that I don't know any of the Conjuring movies show anything accurately, but it shows it's a version of events,
Yes.
Because I don't believe there was ever any sort of manifestation of an entity in that. It was more the things that we were talking about earlier, knocks, things moving around, voices, a lot of those stuff.
Yeah.
And I believe, I don't know if it's all been attributed to hoax, but I believe some of it has been attributed to a hoax by the girls.
Yeah.
Or one of the girls, at least.
Janet was one.
Yeah.
Well, the one that was supposedly attacked so much was Janet, I think. And I'm looking at it is the only reason I remember that name, because you tend to get these confused because they kind of start running together.
That was the younger one. She was 11.
Yeah, she was 11.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I
so,
think the other one was a couple of years older.
Yeah.
right?
She's 13.
and then, a couple of them where you read them, at first it's they start off and they're just wanting attention. All of a sudden, they're just getting press and they're getting attention, and then they maybe keep doing it because the parents, at some point are like either wanting them to, or they think they're going to let the parents down if they don't keep doing it. So, but that's another one, and so they came in, and so a lot of them have been debunked, but I will say that the one that we have here, and Matt, I've told you about the one that, and I would say Tracy. That used to office where I office, she has seen her the most. I see glimpses, and I would not call this a poltergeist. I see glimpses of a spirit being, I guess is what I'm going to call her, that would go through on the back from where the readers used to be to the classroom, right, Roger?
Yep.
I'll tell it really fast. And that's all I saw. I just see glimpses of her, just glimpse. But other people who would be up here late at night, Tracy, whom she's not sensationalist, okay? She'll be like, no. She would come up here and she'd go she'd be writing, because she's a novelist, and she'd be writing, and then at night, and she'd go into the kitchen and to get tea, water, or to go to the restroom. In the bathrooms, you have to go through the kitchen, and all the cupboards would be open.
Yeah.
She'd close them all, and then they'd all be open. And I don't think the girl, knowing the history, and I'm not going to go into it because it was somebody who came up here for readings at that time, but not her, but a family member. And I think she said, could you just maybe leave one cupboard open or one drawer so I don't have to keep closing all of them? But I think what happens is they start to get more and more restless. Think about it. I mean, if somebody doesn't get their way, what do? They start getting louder and louder, and they're going to start throwing more and more of a fit and to get their way. And as their energy grows, and it just makes common sense to me. It's not that crazy to think of something that's wanting attention, or that's throwing a fit, or that's going through puberty, that they might generate some energy that's a little, out of line, right?
Got it.
Yep.
Okay. Did you have one, Roger?
Well, the other one because when I was looking we've all seen, I'm sure, is Amityville Horror, and you were actually watching that the other day.
I watched it last night. Was it last night?
No, it was a couple of nights ago.
A couple nights. I can't remember. I'm so tired.
I heard you watching it, and I heard them arguing on there. Two
Well,
guys arguing. It's not real. It is real.
Dave Schrader had, it was on his show, and he had panelists one lady who was actually there. She lived there, not when it happened, but I mean, she was there within boots on the ground, as he put it, within minutes. I mean, 30 minutes. And so go ahead.
So, I mean, even from what I've read in the movies, loosely on that, but it was the father who killed basically the rest of the family except for one, the oldest son, and I forget how old
Robbie?
he was. Yeah, he was the oldest one.
But isn't he the one that confessed to it all?
No, Ronald Defoe Jr. shot and killed 6 family members. Okay, but there was one. Wait, who was it? Wasn't there one kid that did not die? There was one that didn't die. I just can't remember. But he, isn't that right?
Well,
I think so.
No.
I can't remember
I
the
think so.
specifics.
I just watched it 2 nights ago. I should know.
Yeah, because
I centered more on the fact
this
that
guy was born in like 1951, and it happened in 1974. So yeah, but he was hearing stuff. I mean, he was hearing stuff, and he interpreted voices of telling him to kill the family.
right.
But was he really hearing stuff, or maybe poltergeists of making noises, noisy ghost, actually, and that's how his brain interpreted what was going on with him,
Yeah, so that's another one, Matt, where, it gets listed as poltergeist, but why? I mean,
Right.
So I guess, when they get to the point, they're being very disruptive. But to me, then it kind of gets blended with the way they're behaving, and they're causing people to levitate and contort and climb on the ceiling, supposedly, and scratching them. That to me is when I'm going, okay, there's something possessing that person, because that's my upbringing. That's where
Yeah.
I'm going to go with it. I'm like, okay, don't get it. Oh, you stay over there because I'm going to be getting the cross going, get back, So I think it's all your upbringing and how what you would go to with that. Because to me, once it's doing those sorts of things, I'm like, okay, that is something else.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a little bit. It's one thing if the girl's throwing, because there's a picture on. I think is it the infield case? I think the girl's throwing herself up in the air. They said all she was doing, because she looks like she's levitating, and she's making a funny face. And they said that's just her jumping up in the air, and they happen to take a picture when she's jumping up in the air.
Yeah.
But I mean, could it happen? Can things move around? Can there be? I mean, I know that. Remember, can TV screens go fuzzy, white and black now?
Not really.
I don't think so. No, that was a function of
That was like, I guess if you had it connected to like an antenna,
maybe.
and you had
So
to
tell
switch to
our
that.
story. We've told it on here before.
Yeah, because, and I know we've never had anything connected to an antenna. It's either, connected to the internet or. Basically, it is. All of our TVs are connected to the internet, so they're never going to go fuzzy. Or you're projecting something from the phone or iPad to the TV. And I left, and this was at the old house, and I left going to work, and she's at home working but watching TV, and the TV went all snowy fuzzy.
It really did.
And she's like trying to flip channels and it just wasn't doing it. The remote wasn't working. Nothing was working. I walked back in the house and it went right back to her program she was watching.
Totally right back. Because he's very grounding. Things don't mess with him. They mess with me. Spirits mess with me. They have since I was little. So I talk a lot about these spirits and Spirits Unveiled. The other thing I will say, I talk about where, Matt, I think you make it such a good point of, how do we categorize? It's like labeling anything, though. At what point do you distinguish between one thing and something else? So the biggest thing I learned when looking at the poltergeist is a poltergeist is not necessarily a separate being. I don't think.
It's not its own thing.
It may not be.
Yeah.
It may be affiliated with the energy of the people, or something in the house, or the land. And it's causing people to behave in a weird way.
Yeah.
And I think that could happen a lot. I really do. I think houses can make people behave in a very weird way. And that's a whole nother topic of how that happens a lot. But I do believe in what I call, I write about the predatory spirits. And I asked myself after I wrote Spirits Unveiled, I was like, okay, why did I call it a predatory? What would make it different than, something else that's like just a mean ghost? Just has it's just a mean, maybe they were a mean person. And to be predatory, you've got to have something that you're a prey. You got to have prey. So it's like a tiger. If you put meat out there, it's going to want the meat. And if you take it away, then it goes away. So the predatory spirit usually wants something that is in our house. I think the predatory spirit was trying to harm Roger with his diabetes, the one that was there. And she's evil. She laughs, and I still don't think she's gone from our house. But the minute he starts taking better care of himself and going to the doctor and taking care of his diabetes, she's not as interested because he's not as vulnerable. Right? So if you can take care of yourself and take care of your energetic health and your physical health, then I don't think a predatory spirit, that the key to that, because I just asked myself, well, then what do you do? Do you do an exorcism? What do you know? You take away what they want, and what they want is an easy prey. There's meat over there. I'm going to go a tiger. I'm going to go get it. Well, you take it away, and the tiger goes away, right?
Yep.
So it's kind of that simple. So
Exactly.
That's what I wanted to talk about, and just get us thinking. I don't think there's a known right answer to it, to be honest. But having experienced a lot of things all through my life and growing up and still experiencing them, I would say that I know it's real, and I can't explain exactly what it is. I do know that our energy can affect how we respond to things and how what maybe we can do as far as moving things around and making especially strong energy, because we can create thought forms. I mean, we can. And so if we can create thought forms, why couldn't we make a book fall off the wall? I mean, it's not that big of a deal. We just think it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a noisy ghost. All right, so we're going to give away a prize. And we're at 8:30 already, so.
So, yeah.
So-
If you're on the SoulWhat, I've got a question that I think maybe people could.
Perfect.
Unless you have one.
I do
Go
not.
for it.
So I will say, other than moving stuff, because we all know that, what is one of the other signs of a poltergeist?
Okay.
Other than moving stuff. So comment that, and what are we giving away?
One of Michelle's signed copies of her book.
There you go.
Yeah. We'll do Spirits Unveiled, or if you have that
Whichever one you don't
whichever
have.
one you want. The Magic of Connection or Spirits Unveiled. We're also having a promotional. You want to tell that?
Yeah. It also, guys, if you haven't done a review on either one of the books, if you go online onto Amazon and you give a review for Spirits Unveiled and one for the Magic of Connection, you can screenshot it, send it to me at roger@soultopia.guru. We will actually send you a $5 coupon to use at Soultopia.
Yeah, and I really appreciate it too.
And we have a winner.
Woo! Winner.
Kelly
Kelly.
on the SoulWhat page said noise. That is
Yeah,
correct.
there we go. Well, she got the definition, so there we go. Perfect. Do we have time really fast for 1, 2, 3? Or you want to just blow that off this
No,
time?
it's fine. We got time.
Are you
Stuff
reading
ready?
with this one?
No, I'll
I
read
will.
this. Okay.
is this?
I got those from Dan.
From
So
okay,
That's from
I can check
from
this
Dan.
out. From Dan at the Tarot Garden.
Tower Garden.
He'll be at
so
Tide?
he'll be at Tide, and here in a
that,
few
Matt?
months.
What is that?
But
Horror.
it's
Oh,
called
the
These are-
Horror Tarot.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they haven't been shuffled. I opened them, took a glance, and that's all I've done with those.
This looks fun.
Yeah.
Oh, look. I love that 3 of Swords on the front, you
Yeah,
guys.
yeah, they're super cool
Check it
cards.
out.
You know, Michelle and I, we gotta find a deck of cards that's different. We buy it.
All right. So, Matt, you're so good at telling them the rules. Do you want to?
Yes. So if you're listening, pick 1, 2, or 3 now, and that'll be your reading for the upcoming week. 1, 2, or 3. Should be
I'll
very-
do one if you want me to.
yeah.
So these are red on the back. They're kind of a red little plaid, and they've got little
Blood
skulls inside.
red.
These are really cool
Blood
cards.
red.
Okay, so for all you ones, here's your reading for the rest of the week, if I can see it. Yes, so it's the Page of Wands. This is a little horror feeling. I'm having trouble. You know what? Okay, so she's got a spider on top of her head. Creepy. I mean, it's a horror deck, right?
Did the spider make it creepy?
No, and she's got one of, what are those called? They're not caterpillars. What are the, not centipedes, but
Snake?
Millipede?
millipedes on her.
I can't remember.
Can you, you're not going to be able to see it. Can you hold it like really up close to the, so what I'm getting is, that's where I went. I don't know if y'all can see them. So the Page of Wands is about somebody who's kind of impulsive. And what I'm getting is this week, be careful. Don't be impulsive. Okay, so like if you see something, like what we've been talking about all night, don't just assume that, do y'all see even on her neck?
Yeah, it's like
See
a
that?
It is.
Yeah. So don't just be impulsively and just assume automatically that whatever's going on with you is bad. Okay, a lot of people do that, right? We just assume, oh, that's bad. The wands are very fiery, and the pages sometimes leap, but they're very impulsive because they're kind of the beginning of the suit, and sometimes we'll leap to conclusions, and pages will also jump in and be like impulsively, oh, I'll do that, I'll volunteer for that, I'll do that creative project. And I'm just saying, don't just make, the 4 agreements. Don't make assumptions. Don't do that. Just sit with it a second, even if it's a spider on your head. Just sit with it and don't be too impulsive. I should have drawn 1 because I'm always impulsive, so that would have been great for me. But I drew 2, and I'm assuming that's Matt, right?
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I can do that. So again, I'm using the oblique strategies. This says work at a different speed. And that's interesting. It doesn't say work faster. It doesn't say work slower. It doesn't say take your time or you need to speed up. It just says work at a different speed. So whatever it is this week that you've been working on, or whatever it was last week that you've been working on that you're carrying on now, think about how can you change up your pace. Do you need to slow down? Do you need to spend a little bit more time thinking about things and working a little bit more carefully? Do you need to speed up? Do you have a deadline coming up and you need to light that fire? Have you been procrastinating? So whatever it is, now is the time to change up what you've been doing to either accomplish your task quicker or to take a little bit more time. And but whatever it is, you need to change up the speed at which you're working through whatever
I
issue
hear
you
that.
have.
Yeah, shake it up.
Cool. So number 3s. Actually, all right, so I was using my Mystic Martian Oracle deck by Lisa Porter by Rockpool. So I actually got this one, which is the Flower of Life card. See the Flower of Life. What I get for that though is actually this is a good week for you to start your dreams, meditations, things like that. But I think it's a good thing. Your dreams is to bring them into a reality for you. So if you've really been wanting to do something and you've been putting it off, why are you putting it off? It's time to start moving forward with that. Okay, so move forward, stop putting it off, get off your ass, get out, actually put action to your dreams. That simple. It's time to start putting it all together.
Perfect.
All right, what else we got going on?
I don't know. You tell me. I was looking at Page of Wands in here. I don't usually do that, but I wanted to see, and I think I actually.
Did you find it?
Yeah. Well, they. I don't usually do this, but it's curious because it says danger can come in unsuspecting packages. So be careful of who or what you trust. Everyone loves good news, and the Page of Wands represents an innocent soul that delivers a positive message. That's a little bit better than
Very
what
cool.
I gleaned from that card, but these are cute.
Yeah, I like those.
So what do we have coming up?
All right, so in the month of March, because we're almost done with February, believe it or not.
'Cause it's
Almost done. We only
short.
got like another week, just over a week. So in the month of March, we have Monty Farber's classes that's going to be by Zoom on Monday nights. So you don't even have to leave your house.
You wanna
Monday
take it.
Nights.
You
If
wanna
you've
take
been interested in anything astrology, you wanted to learn more, and we've done some classes before with him with astrology, and if you've
Amazing.
taken those, you need to take this one too. This is going to be Monday nights in March by Zoom. He says an hour and a half for the class. They usually blood over a little more. than
Amy
an hour
comes
and a
down
half.
and tells him to
Yeah.
wrap it up.
Amy's
Wrap
like,
it up.
it's about
wrap
time.
it up.
Because
Wrap it
Monty
up.
likes to talk a little.
And
you
just
know?
look, can
Likes
we
to.
interject? They're making a documentary on them.
Yeah.
You guys. So yeah, and you'll get to. They're
Definitely.
amazing.
So
Sign up for that, you guys.
you can
Seriously.
sign up with that one. You can actually go to our Facebook page. If you're there, you'll see the event. You can click that and go to the tickets. If not, go to soultopia.simpletix.com. Soultopia.simpletix.com.
Tix being TIX.
TIX, that's correct. And you can literally see all the classes and things we have going on. Another class that is not on there yet, I haven't seen it on there yet, is actually on March the 7th, which is Tuesday night. So while we're doing our podcast, Crazy Neil's going to be in the back doing a shamanic journey from the lower, middle, upper worlds.
Y'all want to come to
And
that
that's going to be
too.
awesome. And, you know, he'll be noisy as hell. You know he's going to be noisy back there. Doing his drumming.
I got another
and all
healing
that
with him
stuff.
Sunday, so that's 2 now that I've gotten, and I'm certified by him in Munaki, and he is just incredible, you guys. He is. If you haven't ever done a journey to the 3 worlds, I'm telling you, it'll be a trip.
Yeah.
You should come.
And I have my class on March the 4th, Saturday afternoon. And we're going to be making element bottles. So
Cool.
we'll have little jars that you can use within your spell work, using your altar space to represent, you know, earth, fire, water, air, you know, everything going on right there. So you'll have little bottles that you'll be taking home with you with each one of the elements there.
Cool.
Yeah. And don't forget, while you're on that page, you'll also find the tickets for Tide. So you'll need to get your Tide tickets. Get them soon. You don't want to put that off to the last minute either. Tide with 3 days. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's May 5th, 6th, 7th. You'll have a lot of things going on. We've got, 30 different people speaking? It's like 30-something people speaking that weekend.
Oh, it's a lot.
Yeah,
and then we've got
people speaking.
panels that I think Matt's going to be involved in. I don't want to just make, but the panels we haven't totally announced the people on the panels, but we know who they are and they have a pretty good idea. But we've got one panel that's on professionalism, which will involve, things such as how to present yourself in media and things that Matt and his friend Anna, I believe, are professionals at. That's what they do for a living. And then we'll have another one that is on magic is for everyone. And Mary Kay Greer has actually, who's our keynote speaker, we're so fortunate to have her. She's asked to be on both those panels. She is just wanting to participate in everything, and we're so happy that she is. She's so excited, and what she's bringing, Matt, we're going to need you, because what she is bringing as her speech, you guys, it's going to be different.
Okay.
She has two passions, and big passions. If you know what they are, you might get an idea into what her speech is going to be.
It's going
So
to be
we'll
totally
do a
different of
teaser
what you
for that.
would not be expecting from Mary Kay Greer.
Well, if you follow her, you might. But yeah, I told her, I think this is what you need to do. Her eyes light up about tarot and one other big
That's right.
big thing. So it's going to be fun. So y'all need to sign up.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're going to have some big other announcements coming to you soon. Some really, really, really big announcements. So just stay posted. And Matt, thank you for staying late tonight.
Yeah, of course.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Make
Good
sure you give us a
night.
like, follow, and a share. And we will see y'all next week. Good night.
Right.
Peace out.
Thanks for listening to SoulWhat, a Soultopia production. If you're intrigued, searching, or looking to schedule a reading of your very own, visit us in sunny Dallas, Texas, or visit us online at facebook.com/Soultopia Holistic Boutique. And if you like what you heard, subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcasting platform to be the first to hear new episodes every Tuesday at 7:30 Central.